Bognor Regis has been devastated by a tornado. It overturned caravans, tore roofs off houses and sent debris spiralling into the air. The freak burst only lasted 30 seconds, but damage could run into millions of pounds. The quiet West Sussex town was thrown into chaos last night as the storm carved through 1.5 miles of houses and businesses. 200 homes were damaged and 5 people injured. Repairing the area could take several months as homeowners try to clear away the mass destruction. Alex Rossi reports.
The tornado came without warning and struck with terrifying force. A 70-foot swirling column of energy devastating everything in its path. Eyewitnesses couldn't believe what they saw.
As I come out the house, a gush of wind and there was all the debris was flying in, tiles everywhere. I've never seen it like it before. And then the next minute I went round to the Linden Road and there's debris everywhere.
When the tornado hit, this was probably one of the worst places to be. The caravans here at the Riverside Park, like most things, weren't built to withstand the turbulent force of a twister. This caravan was dumped on its roof. 2 people were inside. It took firefighters more than an hour to free them.
We came down last night to find what you see there. It was just absolute shock. I mean, obviously, my thoughts were with the people next door because I knew they were in it, and we then went to the hospital to see them.
The tornado lasted less than a minute, but left in its wake a 1.5 mile trail of devastation. It damaged scores of homes and businesses, stripping tiles from roofs and rocking buildings to their foundations. As fire crews tried to make the area safe, residents could only survey the debris.
They've not let us inside yet, but look, judging by the look, it's pretty bad.
Yeah. How much do you think it will cost?
No idea, no idea. It depends on how structurally safe the walls are and how much of it they have to rebuild.
The cost of businesses is difficult to predict. The owner of this factory, which makes car parts, says it could be days before things get back to normal.
Lots of the businesses that we've basically just cleared up, tidied up. This is also our accounts office, so it will stop business tomorrow, production-wise, but we will be still operating.
At a nearby cemetery, again, the full force of the tornado is clear. This man had come to visit his parents' grave. In its place, he found uprooted trees and ripped up earth.
Very upset indeed. You know, it's just one of those things, you can't help nature, but it still upsets you.
As many people tried to comprehend the full extent of the damage, the cost was already being counted. It's estimated to run into millions of pounds.
All the problems in Sussex and Kent with all the floods down there, that has really put a big strain on insurance companies and loss adjusters. And now with this on top of it, these people are going to struggle to actually get their claims dealt with quickly and efficiently.
Perversely, where there is loss, there is also profit. This team of builders was diverted from flood-damaged Lewis to this new scene of devastation.
But it's going to take probably a good 3 weeks to do. There's a lot of damage, i.e. the roofs are up. There's going to be strong winds again tonight, so they could also sort of lift more, lift the tiles up even more now. So it's hard to tell, but you're looking at a good 3 weeks to a month.
But the council is warning people to be cautious. It's feared cowboy builders will target those who've already lost the most.
What they should do is deal only with legitimate companies, people who are authorised by their insurance company, or they're people that they know. And we would always say never, under any circumstances, give any cash to anybody you don't know. Always pay by credit card or cheque.
As the clean-up operation begins, the first priority is to make these houses safe. But it's feared things could get much worse before they get better. Forecasters are predicting winds of up to 90 miles an hour and heavy rain tonight, enough to cause more structural damage and localised flooding. Back at the Riverside Caravan Park, holidaymakers aren't taking any chances. Like many people, they're battering down the hatches and hoping tonight's storms will pass them by. Alex Rossi in Bognor Regis for Meridian Tonight.
The damage in Bognor is so severe that many people have had to leave their devastated homes. One man has been telling how he was trying to fix the plumbing in his loft when the freak gusts ripped through his roof. Simon Bunn says he's amazed he survived the tornado, as Peter Robinson reports.
Their dream home in ruins. Simon and Vicky Bunn had just moved into this, their first house. It took seconds for the tornado to tear through it. It was a remarkable escape for Simon Bunn. He'd been working in the loft when the freak storm hit, tearing tiles from the roof around him and bringing the chimney crashing down.
I could hear the wind building up, and then my ears started to pop like when you're in an aeroplane, and the pressure's building up, and there was huge great bangs, and the roof just started to shake like a tent, and it was actually moving up and down.
He says it was just like being in a horror movie. In its destructive path, the tornado flattened a row of mature trees in the nearby churchyard, ripping some up by their roots. With frightening speed, then hit Dorset Road, smashing one house, then veering across the road to Simon and Vicky Bunn's home. Neighbours just a few feet away escaped with comparatively minor damage.
Well, obviously we count ourselves very lucky that we haven't suffered the same damage. I mean, the car's been damaged. But on a scale of 1 to 10, we've been very, very lucky.
Saturday, October the 28th is a date that will stay in Simon and Vicky Bunn's memories forever.
I was absolutely terrified. It's one of the most frightening experiences of my life. I just couldn't wait to get out of there, and I couldn't get out of there quick enough. And I spent the whole night just shaking.
The couple now face the prospect of spending the next few months trying to rebuild their shattered home. Peter Robinson in Bognor, Regis for Meridian Tonight.
Well, the emergency services are battling to make damaged houses safe ahead of more fierce weather threatened tonight. The fire brigade has been at full stretch, and the district council's been working flat out to make sure all those left homeless have shelter. James Trollope reports on the heroic response to the tornado.
After the rescue of tornado victims, the race to make properties safe before the expected return of fierce winds tonight. As loose tiles and chimney stacks were being removed, many, like David Pace, were reflecting on narrow escapes. He was in his upstairs bedroom when the tornado tore into his roof. He's full of praise for the fire brigade's response.
I think they're doing a fantastic job, yeah. They've been round obviously last night to make sure everything was safe then, and then they come round again today, take all the chimney down, which makes it a little bit safer.
It's the old Dunkirk spirit again, sort of thing. We spent a lot of time on a house in Fish Lane which needed repairing, and luckily the person who owned it was a carpenter, so we used his skills to hammer in some of the battens.
In fact, the carpenter was the owner's son. 75-year-old Robert Townsend lost his wife 5 weeks ago. Now he's lost much of his home. Fire officers helped patch it up, while his son, daughter-in-law and grandchildren rallied round.
Masonry was flying, 200 yards, 300 yards, like missiles really, through fences, through sheds, garages.
As firemen continued to remove unwelcome obstacles, teams of council officers were helping those like Steve Jenkins who can't yet return to their homes.
Arran District Council are able to provide accommodation, temporary accommodation for those that need it, that have been made homeless by the situation.
The threat now clearly is the ongoing weather. The tornado last night has obviously loosened a lot of the structures, certainly close to the path it went through, and the high winds pose a threat to people who are out and about.
So the message is keep away from damaged property. James Trollope in Bognor Regis for Meridian Tonight.
Well, we can now talk to Peter Midgley from the Environment Agency, who's in Bognor Regis. Peter, have you been shocked by the level of destruction that you've seen?
I certainly have, and my heart goes out to the poor people of Bognor and Burstead who have had this tornado thrust upon them yesterday, which has caused severe damage to their houses, their livelihoods and their treasured possessions.
Chelsea 2 years ago, now Bognor Regis. Are residents there living in some sort of tornado alley?
It almost must seem like that. I think possibly what we are seeing with this much more stormy weather are probably some of the first signs of global warming really coming home to us in terms of much more stormy weather, higher rainfalls, and things like these very extreme events, tornadoes, becoming rather more commonplace, unfortunately.
You must be very worried about the severe weather still to come that's been forecast.
I certainly am. I'm sat here in Bognor at the moment. It's very heavy, intense rain. It's blowing about a force 8 gale, gusting even stronger than that. We're due for that for at least another 2 to 3 hours, probably till 9 or 10 o'clock this evening. We'll then have a slight lull, followed by another 5, 6, 7 hours of possibly even more intense weather with heavy rainfall and possibly even stronger winds. A very, very difficult night, both for the Environment Agency and possibly for all the emergency services.
A bleak outlook. Peter Midgley, thanks very much.
Thank you.